Crackdown, Brad.
Crackdown?
Crackdown 3.
It's not Terry Crews, I see.
Yep, that's Terry Crews.
Huh.
He's
cop Terry Crews.
Yeah, he is but one of the playable characters in Crackdown 3, but in I think in my mind, and I bet most others, he's really the only one.
Yeah. Does he say his famous catchphrase?
Not really.
I'm the guy with the pecs. That's what he says.
Yeah, there's an introductory cutscene with him in it, and then that's really kind of it. He quips a little bit during the game, but I found the audio on the voice stuff to be a little low.
Light as a feather.
Especially compared to, you know, voice of the agency director Goodwin.
That guy's back.
I don't
he has
see
a
many
name?
refugees
Yeah.
at that monorail
I don't think he
station.
had a name before.
But we should still shut
Yeah,
down.
not in the original game, but maybe in the second one. I've blocked out the second game from my memory most, and
Then put the robotic bastard
don't really remember
down.
too much of it. But
Fighting robots now?
you fight a lot of stuff. So a corporation has blacked out the world, and this is their island where the power still works. You and the agents come to screw them up, and they shoot them all down, and you're kind of the last surviving agent, basically. You team up with a local resistance lady, who is your initial point of contact, and the voice of the agency is restored a little bit on. We're actually, so this is my end game, kind of new game plus character, loaded into a new world. You can basically, it stores your agent progress and your world progress separately, and you have up to 5 of each. So this is like kind of the first kind of post-tutorial mission you're given, but I've got my end game stats, so a lot of the stuff is going to be pretty easy. That was a monorail station. In the monorail station missions, you shoot a bunch of guards, and then that causes a...
That was a mission?
Yeah, that causes a boss to appear, and then you kill the boss, and then you win. That was one of like 12 monorail stations, and they're all exactly like that. That's kind of my issue with this game, is that there's really... There's a very limited amount of variety across the game. So all of the missions you do to identify this Roxy boss is those monorail stations. They're all identical.
Again, I couldn't really tell until you told me that was actually a mission.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what you did there.
I shot a bunch of guards to make the boss appear, then killed the boss.
Oh. I also did not notice you killed the boss.
Yeah, they're not, you know.
How many bosses are there? I forget how the first game was structured.
So we'll go to targets here. The tutorial has you take out the first target here. And then you're kind of opened up to, you know, the 3 types of missions: enforcement, security, what is it? No, enforcement, logistics, and industrial, or, you know, whatever this one is. The map actually probably says more. Industry, logistics, security. You have kind of these 2 bosses that roll up to the main boss, and then that rolls up to the end boss. And then the game's over. Took me about 6 hours to do. And that was completing damn near all of those missions. There was a few of each, because they don't make you do all of them to start the boss fight.
That sounds very short by modern standards.
It's a short, I feel like it's short by Crackdown 1 standards, but you know, it's been a while since I played through that game start to finish. So, but either way, yeah, that's maybe my main complaint with this game, is there's really not a lot here, and a lot of it is very repetitive in terms of mission design and stuff like that.
And just kind of having read your review sounds an awful lot like Crackdown 1.
Yeah, I would, you know, especially they did some work to Crackdown 1 to make it run in 4K and stuff like that. I might still say go play that game.
They also gave it away for free last week.
Yeah, another...
May still be free? I'm not sure.
Sun's up, Agent, and another day of kicking
Those jump
ass
jets new?
begins.
Or is that just
it's your double jump,
just
basically.
a different way to
you know?
animate a double jump?
Yeah, so, you know, same type deal as the previous game. You know, the whole, like, you do stuff, you earn XP in specific areas.
Orbs.
Yeah, the agility orbs you find around the world.
There's one.
And then the rest of them you do by doing stuff. So like the previous Crackdown games, my driving stat is never going to really get above a 2.
Yeah.
Because why, you know.
Who drives in these games?
Yeah. The car, you know, can drive up walls and stuff when you level it up.
True.
So it's like there's reason to do it.
Do they still have the goofy thing of the car transforms every time you get into it?
Well, not the way you want. Like that, the way the Crackdown 1 car agency vehicle would kind of bulk up. No, it doesn't quite do that.
That's a shame.
Okay, so let's go to our next mission here. Well,
you got that orb.
I got that orb. There are 14. I've collected 14 of the 71 in this area. I feel like the orb placement is not great, which is maybe the most damning thing you could say about a Crackdown game.
Yeah, that's...
a lot of them felt like they were very like low to the ground and on there are areas without a lot of tall buildings. And so like the tall buildings where you expect there to be one, there almost always is. But it's just, I don't know, the placement feels very slipshod. Just not, did not feel like they were placed with care in some areas of the world.
Maybe the world has kind of moved on from agility orbs.
Yeah.
Need a little more in your agility orb collection these days.
Yeah. So we've stumbled into one of the industry missions here. Chimera. It's, you know, it's a thing.
See you near one of Nova's chemical sites.
So there are about 6 of these missions. So like there are 2 mission types per branch. So in the industry missions, you'll get this mission where you have to blow up these big drills.
By shooting them?
You can shoot them, or I can go pick up these rocks and throw them in the goop, and that does actually more damage. But I'm coming into this with kind of, you know, more weapons than one might have at this point in the game normally. So actually shooting them with the explosive weapons works out pretty well too.
Okay. You killed that drill.
I killed that drill.
Skills for drills.
Yep. Oh, I accidentally picked up an Omni rifle. I don't know how that happened.
These harvesters can only chew so much.
Oh.
Choke 'em up.
Oh, yeah, the grenade I have equipped is a matter duplicator. Any item you can pick up, you can duplicate and then just create it at will.
That's kind of a cool idea.
Which might come in handy here. And okay, so we've done that. Now the last thing you do in all of the chemical missions is you find this valve and shoot it. Where is it? Okay. It's always up high. I'll just go up. You, stop.
Can they point you to it at all?
Yes.
Have to find it.
There it is up there.
Okay.
That's that mission.
I'll do that 5 more times.
6 more times.
Welcome them with chemical death.
Say
get a
hello
boss
to
now?
Nova's chemical chief.
That introduces you to the boss. Like now that I've earned some intel on this character, you get the cutscene of like, here's the person you're gonna fight when you complete all these missions.
Did you get anything at all out of all these bosses having identities? Like, is there any personality to this
No,
stuff?
the boss fights are really underwhelming. I think the characters are
Just ask him.
not the worst. Like they're okay, but there isn't enough of them. You know, they'll kind of yell at you. There was one boss fight against a large like mech, which I think is this guy. If it's not, it's the other guy in the industry zone.
The infrastructure set up is intricate. So each
That was
campsite you destroy
okay,
should
because there were some phases to it and stuff. But generally, it's like
Shut down.
these boss fights are not much more complicated than what I just did. Of shoot a bunch of stuff and then, oh, I guess that killed him. Or it's just direct damage on a target, which is not difficult. And so
Good news. While you were taking
let's
that
see
monorail
if this
station, I heard from the
other
militia.
chemical mission is the other
They
type,
reached the
or if it's just another one of the same
before
type.
Terra Nova.
Good. Then we can focus on dismantling the rest of the enemy's distribution network. But be
orb is
ready,
that?
Agent.
That was the hidden orb.
It won't make
Gives you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Damn. Nova's activating the prisoner hardpoints.
In fact, I remember just about everything I'm seeing here.
We need them back on the street.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they stuck pretty close to that blueprint.
Not if we take out the officers in charge.
But like I said, it's been a long time, and open world games have. I feel like they've fallen in and out of favor multiple times in the years since, right?
Also, a whole lot of ground covered by this genre
yeah.
since 2007.
So this one just, at the time it was like the mobility was enough. It was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
it does some of the Grand Theft Auto stuff, but like with all this mobility, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's still just that. Okay, so this is just another one of these
Oh,
missions.
good.
So more drills.
Nova cleaners.
I mean, you could kick a car, like, very effectively
Yeah.
in that game. That was wild.
Yeah, and then, you know, in the years since, you had Saints Row and, you know, games with powers kind of...
Infamous, trying to think, like... I don't know, I feel like half the open world games on the market are some kind of superhero-esque thing at this point. Right?
Yeah, so, like, this just doing that again kind of isn't enough.
Yeah.
As someone who was, like, a fan of the first game, and, you know, and I don't hate Crackdown 2. I know a lot of people talk a lot of mess about it. I'm not going to say it's, like, some amazing game, but, you know... It was okay.
I mean, they at least tried something different with it. With the zombies.
Yeah, well, yeah. That stuff was not great. And that was a short game like this one.
Yeah.
You know, and they tried the co-op stuff there.
Valve ready for a beat.
So this has what, 2-player?
Yeah.
I want those
And you know, you can get in here with a friend and fuck shit up and not care about the story and just kind of do what you do, and that's not without value, but at the same time, it's a lot to ask for, you know, a $60 full retail product and stuff like that. Like, there's just not a lot here. Oh, that was all the valves, or all the drills. So we'll find the valve again.
Those flyers have some kind of resist on them that I saw?
Yeah, since I picked up a weapon that does like toxic damage from one of the enemies in the toxic zone, and so the industrial enemies won't take a lot of damage from that since it's their type. All right, let's see. There it is. All right, how's that mission?
Things are getting testy and no.
You know, in your first time through, these are going to be a little bit more difficult because you're not going to have the weapons that I have. You're not going to be as pumped up as I am, and so, but that the end result of that is like so. When you kill enemies, you recharge your shield. You get a little bit of shield for every enemy you kill. So it basically turns into, oh, I have to stop and kill some fodder enemies to recharge because they've been shooting me for a while.
Shields for kills.
Yeah, shields for kills.
Not you. Just as I am the reason Neiman's beast will have teeth.
In case
How many other types of missions are there?
I'm gonna say there's
done 2 of the same one.
So that's all the missions you see in the industry section. There's another type where there are tiny little circles you have to shoot instead of the drills.
Okay.
But there's still a valve at the end.
Okay.
On the enforcement side, you have this one, which is let's go over there and see what it is. There's one that's like a vehicle lockup, where you have to blow up some cars.
No telling how much of it we're dealing with.
And another one that I have already forgotten about.
One bit.
coming up on a propaganda tower. Nova's broadcasting.
Their propaganda towers to climb.
Hack in
and
send a message to mobilize the militia.
You know, you climb up and interact with an object, and that's an objective. You've got rooftop races, you've got car races.
Forces with grenades and shotguns. Crowds thrown to bed.
Oh, this one is the other type is kill all the officers. So all these officer targets need to go down.
In right here, trouble. Get around those shields to do real damage.
You have any kind of like aim around the shield?
Yeah, I can tap when I'm locked on. I can tap up for headshots.
So
you know, kind of.
Still got all that kind of body part stuff.
Yeah, but you can also just kind of muscle your way through those shields. It's not.
Can you still aim at the gas cap of cars?
So yes, I believe. Well, I saw an achievement for it, but I've never had to do it. Well, that car's already dead. What do we have here? Shotgun. Let's pick that up instead of the. Actually, we didn't really use the mulcher much because we're fighting industry enemies. So this will actually do damage to these guys. So they get poisoned by it and wiped out. Let's just climb up here. Oh, did I get under a thing? Yeah, I did. Now we're up here. So you see there, my shields were down, and I was taking actual health damage, and then killed some guys, and now we're pretty much back in business.
One less enforcement officer.
All right, and this one over here. That's that mission.
Personnel. I have one
The other enforcement mission is like there's cars in a shielded lockup. You have to find where the generators that are powering the shield are, take out the generators, and then go blow up the cars.
Okay.
Head enforcer of
So
Terra
like
Nova
2
rules.
mission types per branch, is that right? I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of.
Yes, well,
How much variety
except
there is.
for the first branch, like you kill the first boss is one of the 2 bosses of the branch, so that 3rd branch is only the monorail stuff.
Ah, okay.
According to agency intel, Liv Sorensen is a professional peacekeeper for dictators, rogue states.
Also, when you think about the storyline of Crackdown 1 and where it ended with the agency kind of being the bad guy, this tends to ignore all that,
Yeah, that
and
seems,
now...
seems insane.
Yeah, so it's like the agency is working with this rebel leader to overthrow this evil corporation,
Wipe out.
and it's like...
Master Sorensen will be isolated, and then we
Like
can
there's some lip service paid to, you know, power the people over corporations and stuff like that, that I wonder if that was a late addition. There's barely a story
That's
here.
insane though, considering the agency is built up as this like evil authoritarian institution itself by the end of the first
Totally.
game.
Totally.
It seems like the thing you would base a new Crackdown on.
Totally.
What in the world? The only explanation I can think of is like,
It's been long enough that no one remembers that,
well,
and they
that and you think the agency guy's voice is so critical to a new Crackdown game that you just have to forget that detail. So
yeah, that's. I bet that's totally it. I mean, they have him say
everywhere.
"fucking skills for kills, agent." And, you know, they make light of that. Like, what was that old line? All right, skills for kill. You know, like, but like he also repeats the tutorial information too often, the same way it did in Crackdown 1. Like the stuff that they're pulling to try to say like, oh well, if we're gonna make a new Crackdown, it's got to be super repetitive. Like it's just bizarre.
yeah.
And you start to think like, oh well, this game was in development for kind of a long time. Like they announced this game in 2014.
That's insane.
Okay, so this is another monorail station. We've killed 60% of the guards already, and that's 100%. So now the boss will appear. There it is. And there it goes. Again, that would be slightly longer if I didn't have these weapons, but honestly, like those bosses, I've beat by just shooting them. It's not some tactical battle. It's not. I'm not like, oh, I gotta get around them and do that. You know, it's pulse beam, kind of like the mulcher, except no poison. Any weapon you pick up is added to your inventory, so anytime you go to a supply point, you can get pretty much any weapon you have touched.
Oh.
toasty.
I don't think it looks totally amazing, but it does look very faithful to the look of Crackdown.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, you know.
Like it looks sharp.
The key to taking out a vehicle lockup? Destroying
Colorful.
their vehicle. Drop any defenses and leave their rides.
Like I can see some appeal to this, but it seems like you got to be down for just kind of a mindless, like open world grind.
It is totally mindless and repetitive, and that's you know, like it's not a bad game. Like there's a shell of a framework here that like if anything, I'm just disappointed they didn't do more with it.
Yeah. Totally.
You know, and it's a like I said, it took me somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 7 hours to finish the campaign. Only really had trouble with the final boss fight, and part of that was because the first time I finished it, it crashed, and had to do it again. And also, it just it's like a finicky fight in a way that a lot of the other stuff is not. Okay, I think that might be all the generators. Let's just go down and find out.
Agent, it's imperative we keep civilian casualties to a minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this almost seems like it would have more value if you wanted to, say, listen to podcasts while playing it. Or
Yeah.
just
Or
chat with
chat
your
with a friend.
friend
Like
while
do the co-op,
you go.
chat with a friend.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the other type. That's the vehicle lockup type.
Control! And we are losing it.
The agency threat is only part of
I'll call my
the
car
problem,
so
sir.
you can see that.
While you're waiting for that
Locals
car,
rising
try to
up.
kill
That
another
is a
car.
powder case
Okay.
set
Can
to
you
go.
walk on and
Only question is,
pick the gas tank? No?
Gas tank might be on the other side.
it's blown to kingdom fucking come.
If I get my wish,
No?
every one of those oppressive assholes will get
Oh,
thrown to
okay.
the
I don't know. Something happened.
Yikes.
Those cars were touching for too long and they blew up.
Enforcer targets, Agent. Show Terra
God,
Nova
is that really not
the
in here?
meaning
No,
of
let's-
real justice.
I see the gas cap. Man.
It won't let me. There. Okay,
Oh,
there we go. It just
okay.
that weapon wouldn't do it. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
You can absolutely do it.
Alright. Ah!
Thank
There
you.
we go. Alright, maybe I'll play this.
like, and it's on Game Pass, so you know, like, I feel like for no additional fee, if you were already on Game Pass and you already are part of that ecosystem, like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's 6 hours because you aren't paying any additional money for it.
Right.
It doesn't matter that the multiplayer is really dull. You could have an afternoon of fun with this, and you know, there's that. But like, it's so repetitive. Like, it's also like really disappointing.
Yeah, because I mean, the first Crackdown was kind of a revelatory thing.
Totally, yeah.
when
You
it
know,
came
and this just isn't that.
Yeah.
And then you start to take into account, like, you know, if you start thinking about how long this game was it went from announcement to release. I'm not going to say that this game was in development since 2014 because who knows? Maybe they stopped and restarted. Maybe this was done in 18 months. I don't know. You know, I know like developers kind of changed at some point. So I don't want to like speculate too much on what happened there. So this is the other type. Like, you get some prison cells, you just have to hack them, and that's that. And
Find the control terminal and take it offline.
so even when I played through this the first time and was like slightly less powerful, like, I didn't kill most of those enemies. I just walked up and held down left bumper and completed these missions. Like, it's not, you don't have to do those fights. It's and it's got 4 difficulty settings. This is the default. There are, you know, difficulties up from this one.
I'm seeing Punisher drones nearby.
Let's go to supply point and change out some weapons and stuff.
I don't know if extreme challenge is what I'm looking for out of a Crackdown.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want to have to think a lot.
I think for me, it's just like, for me, it's the lack of variety and the length of the game. Like, it
Looks like you've got a locked supply point in your area.
I came into this being like fully down to play a new Crackdown game, and also curious because of, you know, just the weird length of time it took from announcement to release. But yeah, it never really gets a good rhythm going, and it just ends, you know. And the ending, like, is not satisfying. Like, the story is not especially satisfying. Like, it just kind of ends.
Yeah. Those two problems sound kind of mutually reinforcing, because like, if there's a lack of variety, you wouldn't necessarily want the game to be longer.
Right. Yeah.
Like, to make the game longer, they need more stuff.
Right. And there's just not enough stuff here. Ice shotgun. Oh wait, I should get rid of this matter duplicator. Singularity grenade. And so I'll go in and show some of this stuff. So as you level up, as you collect orbs in the different disciplines, you level up, and every time you level up one of your abilities, you get a new skill to play with. For agility being the classic one you care about, but this is where you're going to get your double jump, basically, an air dash, a little double dash, and then eventually a triple jump. This launch pad, so a lot of the disciplines will have an item. So instead of a grenade, I can take this like bounce pad, basically, which never felt like it was worth it, but I bet to climb some of the propaganda towers, you might need one. For this, it's more ammo. Here's an additional weapon, which is like an air shotgun, and like a tether, like a Just Cause style tether that does not do the Just Cause thing as well as Just Cause. More damaging stuff. So this is like a charge melee, charge ground pound.
These just unlock in order, I assume.
Yeah. And then eventually you get, hey, your melee attacks cause explosions. For this, it's, you eventually get that singularity grenade. You get, the kind of charge C4 style, like pick when you detonate it, grenades. Hold more rockets, bigger explosions, that sort of stuff. Driving, you get the ejector seat, you get the different types. So I haven't unlocked the heavy type that has a gun on it, because again, why would you drive?
Is that a giant monster?
Where? Here?
Yes. Oh, it's a robot.
That's a robot. That's a mech suit. You find a lot of those.
A giant robot's kind of like a monster.
Sure. That's kind of it.
Okay. All right.
You know, I could go find another mission type that we haven't done, or we could kind of roll into the multiplayer.
Let's check out the multiplayer.
Okay.
I think I get it. I think I get what this is.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
kinda,
exactly
like,
it's what I just did for about
wanna,
6-ish hours.
I kind of want to play it. Part of that is purely for nostalgic reasons. Because that first Crackdown was really something else.
And to that end, that's where I might say, you know, Crackdown 1 in 4K.
Yeah.
Backwards compatible.
It looks
not bad.
It looks fine.
Not bad.
Yeah. But also, you know, some of that is just a time and place thing.
Sure.
Like that first Crackdown did stuff you hadn't seen before. This seems to also be doing those things.
Yeah. Yeah, and yes, it definitely loses the kind of time and place aspect of it once you start thinking about it in terms of like, hey, there are a lot of open world games that I could be playing. Oops, well, I accidentally hit B, so we're not gonna climb that tower. You climb that tower, get to the top, that's it. It replaces the voice of the evil end boss with you.
Not Terry Crews.
No, yes, Terry Crews.
Oh, it is Terry Crews. Okay,
well,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, they did one thing right.
And then that actually is some of the only Terry Crews voice acting you hear is like when you take over a tower and get near that zone, you'll hear him go, fucking, you gotta take over, yeah, I'm Terry Crews. They should have just named him Terry Crews. He's like Commander Jackson. Sure. Or something. But
I don't think I heard his voice the whole time you've been playing.
Yeah, they should have just named him Terry Crews. You will hear him he does talk, but like I said in the review, it's mixed really low. Like I played it on PC, I played it on Xbox, I put it on home theater, I played it on headphones, you know, like in every case, like when, in the rare event where the character does say like, yeah, baby, you know, or some kind of quip, you don't hear it so well. Which I was like, why get Terry Crews at this point?
That's weird.
They squandered a Terry Crews.
Wait a minute.
So this is an entirely separate executable. Wrecking Zone is a separate entry for achievement purposes. Like that, we were just playing Crackdown 3 Campaign, which has 1,000 achievement points. Like it has 2 tiles on your dashboard. Oh, it's 2 executables on the PC.
So this also has 1,000 points?
This has 500.
Ah, weird. Also, they didn't get the new studio name in there in time, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if this was the game that I would introduce the new studio name with. I might use this as the one that you kind of go out on.
Okay.
Everything after this point, Xbox Game Studios. But maybe they'll patch it in, I don't know. There are 2 modes here, it's 5v5. You can customize your agent, but that's really just, yes, men and ladies. We were talking earlier and I thought there were no ladies, but I'm wrong, there are ladies. And, you know, it's pretty much just heads. You got your Terry Crews in there.
Okay.
Let's go with this one.
All these people are very ready to punch buildings.
Yeah. So there are 2 modes. Agent Hunter is kind of a kill confirmed thing where when you kill an enemy, a badge pops out and you have 10 seconds to collect it to get the point. If you don't get the badge, you don't get the point. Territories is like point control. Like there'll be areas on the map that are highlighted, and when you're inside those zones, you take control of them. And when you hold control of them, you earn points. This is where the destruction stuff that they've talked about over the years seems to factor in. You can kind of tear these buildings up in a way you can't in the single player.
Do you remember when they first announced this game, if they pitched the destruction as being more game-wide? Like the whole
I think they were very vague about it,
okay.
And then confirmed later on that it would be only in the multiplayer.
Okay.
And
I feel like I remember at the time thinking like, oh, that's going to make this game very different if you can tear the whole city apart.
Yeah, you cannot.
I'm guessing these maps are much smaller?
Yes, they're much smaller, and the rubble despawns.
Oh. Huh.
And so it's, I don't know, for something that they've been talking about on the tech end for a good long time about like, it's just gonna sink this destruction across 10 clients, or across all clients, that's a big deal.
It's the infinite power of the cloud.
Yeah, and I bet that's hard. Like I'm not doubting that end of it. It just, from a gameplay perspective, doesn't add much. So we pick a loadout here. We have some weapons at our disposal, 2 slots, and then also you can either take a vertical boost or overshield is a thing you can pop. We're also playing this game you know, let's say a little less than 12 hours or, you know, 10 hours before it will be widely available. So the servers are not super full. So I can't really speak to matchmaking times, though. I did play a bunch of it yesterday as well.
Maybe we're playing with a bunch of Kiwis right now?
A bunch of what?
Kiwis?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe it's out there, yeah.
Game releases got strange.
Yeah, they did.
They're all coming out on Friday now.
Yeah, everything's on Friday, everything's out at 5 a.m. somewhere, and yeah, it's all kinds of crazy. It doesn't feel like there's many maps. I want to say maybe 3?
Oh, this is like a different kind of architectural motif.
Yeah.
I expected it to just look like the city.
You have a meter that charges up when you get kills or when you pick up orbs around the level, and that'll be like, oh, faster rate of fire for a few seconds, or faster melee recharge. But you know, it's lock-on targeting, just like the single player, and it's a competitive shooter, and so it kind of doesn't, like the skill is not in the shooting.
Yeah.
It becomes more about like, okay, I guess like stay near your team because you're gonna win any 2-on-1 confrontation.
Yeah, reading the review, I was trying to think of another multiplayer game that had this kind of like guaranteed lock-on targeting, and I feel like there's got to be something.
I think there definitely have. Like I feel like games have tried to do lock-on different ways over the years.
Yeah.
And so I guess the idea is, you know, you can kind of keep your lock-on even through a building.
Get out there, agents.
You know, once you lock onto a guy. But so that how they do it is, you know, when you lock onto someone, you're also revealing your direction to them, because when you're locked onto, you'll see it when someone locks onto me. A little line around my feet that points in the direction of where they are. So let's just blow shit up for a bit, because that's...
Sure.
Okay, that has a grid around it, so that doesn't blow up. These statues should. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, I fell. Oh yeah, did I fall too far?
Oh, okay. All right, that looks decent.
You know, okay, so that's someone locking onto me and shooting me. I lost that fight.
Yeah.
There's another guy.
Yeah.
You know, so it becomes about like, okay, if you're not breaking the lock per se, then you're getting behind a building to prevent them from hitting you. You are maneuvering in that way to try to stay safe, or you're popping your overshield to give yourself a little bit more HP to win the kind of one-on-one battle that maybe you didn't get the first shot in on. Or you're getting up close for melee, and you know, kind of rate of fire and stuff like that's gonna matter.
Wait, are you just walking on?
Yeah, I'm taking damage the whole time I'm down there, but that's the like, instead of fall damage or falling out of the level, they do that. I think you take some damage while you're down there.
Do you remember that? Oh God, I'm trying to remember multiple names here. That multiplayer shooter Hybrid that came out on XBLA.
Yes.
Made by the Scribblenauts people?
Yes, yeah.
I want to say that might have had lock-on.
Yeah, you're right, it totally did. Well, I guess I can't say with certainty because it's been a long time, but it was definitely a non-standard shooter.
Yes, it may not have been like a very hard lock, but I think that was more of a tactical and ability-based kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, and I think you shouldn't make every shooter have like your ability to aim and shoot be the only skill area of the game, right?
Totally.
So I'm not knocking this for that aspect of it.
There's definitely a way to make a game about, or with lock-on targeting, that's about something else, right?
Right.
Like ability usage or evasion.
But I think that, you know, the verticality of these levels makes it hard to really kind of keep some awareness about where your teammates are. Like, you do get those icons, and you do kind of see everybody through walls, more or less all the time. Like, if enemies get far enough away, you don't see them anymore, but, you know, the maps are not that large. So they've tried to make it about something other than just shooting, you know, and I don't think it's much fun. Not that I think that, like, if you took out the lock on, this would not be fun either. You know, it would probably actually be worse. But I don't think the destruction is like super well realized or interesting. Like, there are definitely cases where it's like, oh, I shot through the roof of this building to get to a guy down below. You know, so I could start doing damage to him. There's stuff like that, you know.
But you're never gonna like shoot out the foundation of a building and have it collapse or anything.
No,
cool
no.
like
It's
right?
there are you know, there are pillars that kind of don't destroy or cannot be destroyed. So it seems rare that you're actually just taking out whole buildings. Maybe this is one of them. But you know, you see orbs that are positioned on rooftops have to fall because there's no roof anymore. But like, okay, so that.
Yep. Load-bearing columns.
Yeah.
Are invincible. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yes. It's not magic.
Oh.
Yeah, got up into the ground, pound through 2 floors.
Yeah,
like,
like,
there's something to that, but I don't think they've realized that aspect of the game particularly well.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like they go far enough with this concept.
Yeah, and I think the modes are pretty drab. You know, this is kind of your team deathmatch thing, and then the point control stuff. Like, I don't think the weapon selections are particularly exciting. It doesn't feel like there's any like meaningful progression to it. Well, there's no progression to it. You know, so like. You're not like playing it to unlock more weapons, to have more variety.
Just kind of playing it.
You're just kind of playing it.
Also, I understand you can't group with your friends.
Yep. Yeah, it does not have the ability to take an Xbox party into the game.
That seems... I can't...
That is something that they have said is coming at a later date.
I don't know anything about how this got developed or how much work that would have been to implement, but... given Microsoft's history on the Xbox of innovating around multiplayer features, it seems insane.
Yeah, it's, I think a lot of this game, you just look at it and go, huh, I wonder why that happened.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, after a match, we're dumped right back to the menu. Like, it's super bare bones.
Yeah.
And this is ostensibly the part of the game where they have been talking about for years, like, the power of the cloud! And, you know, like, all right.
I don't know, we were talking about this earlier, like, think back on that 2014 E3. Wasn't that also the one where they announced like Scale Down and Phantom Dust and other games that got canceled?
How bad must those games have been?
Yeah.
If this is the one to make it through, well, whatever. Like, I'm conflicted because I don't think this is necessarily a bad game. I think this multiplayer mode is not good. Well, I don't think any. Yeah, I would cut the multiplayer. Honestly, I don't think this adds anything to the experience. I think it's like. It feels like that era of like everyone had wanted that back of box bullet point for multiplayer, and they're like, well, we got to come up with something, guys. Yep. And they sat down and banged this out, and it's 2 modes and a few maps and whatever. But you know, the campaign has potential. It's not unfun. It's just immediately repetitive because there are not a lot of mission types. And it's over very soon.
Yeah.
And so you look at it and think like, how, you know, this doesn't feel like a proper follow-up to this feels like something that got put together like, hey, what do you got?
Yeah.
Put that together, polish it up, and ship it. We're done.
Yep.
It's been too many years.
Yep.
Wrap it up.
This has to come out. We were talking about new
Let's come out before there's a new console.
Yes,
yeah, we're already like, it's. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories from the development of this game that I would love to know more about.
I just think about this, there's so many things you could have done with a new Crackdown. Like, could have expanded on that weird story twist.
And if you were taking you were taking into account the idea of like where open world games have gone and what they've done in the years since, like I think there's a lot of stuff you could do with it.
Like you're working with a hierarchy of bad guys in a world where the Nemesis system exists. Like you could have gone in that direction somehow.
Yeah. Instead, it feels like Agents of Mayhem without the quips.
Yeah.
Like without the batitude.
Saying this game is a subset of Agents of Mayhem.
Kind of.
That's I'm just gonna leave that one alone. Crackdown 3.
Yeah, so like I said, the game is not quite out yet, so maybe we won't find players for this other mode here, but it's the same maps, and you just see highlighted areas and you stand in it. As you control the area, you drain it of points, more areas open up, and whoever gets to like 250 points wins. So, you know, different rules, still 5v5, same basics, different mode.
I think I saw on the menu you can switch between the modes from here? Like there was a launch campaign option or something like that?
Yeah, so yeah, that'll like,
just,
hey, quit and relaunch, and relaunch the campaign. Huh. But I'll show you. I mean, it's.
That's so
oh
weird.
wow, why does it? This just says Crackdown. Oh, maybe that's a short name. Yeah. And if we go into my games and apps, it'll be. It'll be. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I've had Hitman 2 shows up as Hitman 2 Prologue some places and just Hitman 2 others.
Yeah, so, yeah, you get Crackdown 3 campaign, Crackdown 3. Also, the icons don't say that. It's just like, oh, there's 2 people because it's multiplayer, even though the campaign is technically a 2-player thing as well. Whatever, man.
Yeah.
We could nitpick weird stuff like that. That doesn't matter at the end of the day. The PC version, same deal.
Yeah.
Separate launchers, and you can swap between them. Yeah, it's, I think, Microsoft has kind of changed a lot of the conversation about the value of their games because of Game Pass. And I think that's interesting. And it makes like giving a definitive statement on this game a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think it's bad. It's not awful. You can play it.
But it's not $60.
It's not $60 worth of entertainment for sure. It's, I finished it basically in like 2 sittings.
Yeah.
And I don't think the multiplayer is worth your time. So I don't know that I would sign up for Game Pass to play it, especially if it's an introductory offer. There might be a better game down the line that you want to pop that introductory offer for than this one.
Yeah.
But if you're already in that ecosystem, like, hey, I don't know, there's worse stuff you could do than play co-op Crackdown 3.
Yeah, like that seems to be the exact response I've seen as reviews have started coming out. It was just people saying like, it sounds like it's not great. Oh well, I'll try it anyway.
Yeah, if your barrier to entry is $0 additional dollars, why not?
Yeah.
But if you think about it as a full-priced product and all the years of development, and just like think about it qualitatively, removed from the value thing, it's too short, it's too repetitive. There's just not enough here, and it's unfortunate because I think I wanted, I was excited when they announced Crackdown 3, or when it was just Crackdown then. They were like, there's a news story on GameSpot talking about like, oh, we don't want to call it Crackdown 3 because it's kind of a different thing. I'm like, here we go, Crackdown 3.
They should have called it Riot Act.
Riot Act 3.
Yep.
Now you're talking. Yeah, I very much, when they first announced it and in some of the years following, I very much wanted to play a third Crackdown game.
Yeah.
And now here we are, kind of end of the generation with a game that feels more like a first generation Xbox One game.
Yeah, having it exist in the shadow of that first game is really just kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and that first game can be played on the Xbox One as well.
Quite well.
So that further muddies it. So that's Crackdown 3, Brad.
It exists.
It exists. Thanks.